Right, I thought I'd just start with reading something to you. Um, yeah, it's usually the best way. And what I've done in the past with the group coaching online is um, to coach people individually and maybe get people to switch off the cameras while I'm doing that, just so that we can, whoever I'm coaching can focus and I can focus on what we're doing. Um, And I guess the three principles is probably quite new to everyone as well. I wouldn't imagine that it's quite it's not that well known, certainly not up here. Which is ironic because the guy that developed it came from Leith. So yeah. So I'll read something first, and it's something from a book written by Sydney Banks, who was the person this all originated from. And it's from a book called The Missing Link, and this is the first chapter in it, I think, called The Missing Link. So one of the greatest misconceptions ever is the belief that it takes years to find wisdom. Many experience time, few experience wisdom. The achievement of mental stability and peace of mind is one thought away from everyone on earth, if you can find that one thought. Throughout time, human beings have experienced insights that spontaneously and completely change their behavior and their lives, bringing them happiness they previously had thought impossible. Finding wisdom has nothing to do with time. Achieving mental stability is a matter of finding healthy thoughts from moment to moment. Such thoughts can be light years or a second away. Yeah. Yeah, everything that we do in this understanding is about coaching for insights. We spend too much of our time trying to find the answer to whatever it is that we're looking for an answer to through thinking about it. And that doesn't usually get us where we want to be. So what we're aiming for within the three principles is to get to a space of, this is going to sound a bit weird, to a space before thought, to a space before thought has originated. And if we can get to that space, then it leaves the opportunity for people to have insights on whatever it is that's blocking them moving forward, or whatever the particular place that someone is and they're looking for a solution to or a shift in. So, yeah. Any kind of, anybody want to come in at all? Maybe either respond to what I was reading there or to where you are at the moment.
I'll ask a question if that's okay.
Okay,
So,
yeah.
is it the same as intuition then? Is it when you say insights, or is it different?
Um, it's yeah, it's very similar. And it's been able to tap into that, but it's I guess insight, it can be a bigger thing. It isn't
Okay,
always. Um, so it can be like intuition, or it can be, um, you suddenly just see everything completely differently. That
Okay.
is rare. Um, and I guess we would see, we would talk about everybody living in separate realities. So every experience we have in our lives comes, everything we see and experience at any one time is influenced by everything we've kind of picked up along the way in our lives. And even if people have had very similar experiences, they're never exactly the same. So we all see things from different perspectives. And this is what can cause a lot of problems in communication.
Mm.
Because we don't recognize that when we're speaking to people sometimes. Um, and we're always trying to communicate across that bridge of the different realities. And it's something that can cause an awful lot of misunderstandings because we think other people see what we do.
Mm.
So what we're coaching for is to help somebody to see, to have a shift in their reality. That makes sense?
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And words are awful clumsy as well. They're not really, I don't think they convey meaning as well as we think they do.
Yeah.
Um, Especially when we're all living in these different realities. So you'll be having fun at the moment with wife, two kids, parents, all in the same house, all seeing things differently. And
Definitely.
um, yeah. So yeah, words can be quite clumsy. So everything I'll be trying to do is trying to work through metaphors to try and help people see things from from a different perspective from where they are. And it's a while since I've done an online coaching session, so yeah. Would anyone like to explore anything just now? Or should we just um, is there anything that's somebody would like to see a shift in?
Well, Hazel, if I can jump into that, I have been dealing with chronic pain and heart issues, and I really believe in shifting to different timelines. So that's
Mm-hmm.
the belief I feel inside my body, but the sensations which I feel in my body, looks like they keep me stuck,
Yeah.
bring me back all the time. Yeah. So I also really feel like being stuck where I'm at,
Okay.
and not. Yeah. It looks like it's getting more and more closed. So I'm able to do less and less in what is now possible for myself.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So I want to.
Keeps okay. So that's the practical side. As far as thoughts are coming to you at the moment, is there anything that
Mm. Well, I try to to not get into the thoughts, really into the thoughts. But when
Okay.
dive into the body, there's always this that not nice feeling that's in the body, the pain that's in the body. That's
Yeah.
and also yeah. So that really gets me away from um, being able to dive deep in, so you can open up for different timelines, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So we would see it that how it would be with physical pain, I'm not sure, but we would see it as feelings within the body are actually a reflection of thoughts that we're not conscious of.
Mm.
Because we see it as thoughts and feelings are two sides of the same coin.
Mm.
Um, yeah. Can you put a name apart from pain to the feelings?
A
Is there
name,
anything? Yeah, just words.
uh, like it's an annoying um, spasm, as I can tell it, that's happening in the body.
Mm,
And it's always there, and sometimes it's very doable. Like now it's very doable. I just feel it from my pelvic floor to the right side up to my mouth, my jaw, and
okay.
in my head I hear a little ticking. That is from a palatal tremor, I think. um,
Uh-huh.
but it sometimes it's annoying, but sometimes the spasm and the pressure gets so high that it's really like you think, oh, anything could just go very wrong each and every moment. But then yeah, I try to relax as much as possible. But yeah, so it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it any other than that. Like it's
Yeah.
really annoying to wake up and that will be the first thing you notice again. And yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. And are the times that you notice it less, that's is it going on all the time?
Yeah, it's going
Yeah.
on all the time. Yeah.
Are the times that you do notice it less, even though you know it's going on all the time?
The Yeah, there are times when I notice it less, but it's always there. So even if it's less, then there's always like the hope or something that you one day you can break through it. So it will be still in terms of really noise in the body, but also still of like that spasms and pressure in the body. So
Yeah.
yeah.
What's the difference with those moments when you notice it less?
I think I am less stressful then, or I am less
Yeah.
tired. Yeah. So when I'm more tired or more stressful, then the pressure gets more. Um,
Yeah.
or if I'm doing more than I'm capable of, then I also feel that the pressure is getting bigger. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Has it been going on long, Hilda?
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
10 years or something like that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And also the different doctors which I've seen. that's also I'm very grateful for the help that I get, but it's also a very frustrating part because sometimes they say it's not possible what you say, that the sensations that you encounter in your body. So it's sometimes you're not being heard, sometimes you're being heard and really being heard, and they really try and do the best thing for you to cope with the pain. And so it's, but after 10 years she sometimes gets so tired of it, just to be
Yeah.
always looking after that, and you think, I just wish I had a day that I didn't have to, that is what is keeping me going through the day. That's, yeah, that's there always. Yeah.
Yeah. I can go quiet quite a lot, by the way, because it's not a intellectual process to find the right questions and things. So, um, yeah, it must be frustrating with the doctors.
Mm. But also
Hello.
the process in myself, of course, because I really feel like we all have the capability to have that self healing in our bodies. So it's always like when I really get frustrated is, what am I doing wrong? What am I not seeing? So it's also the process inside yourself that is maybe the most
Yeah.
the most yeah. Mm, uh,
Yeah.
frustrating because you're always looking for something, always looking for, yeah, where can I find the answer? And except I have to look inside of me, of course, to find the answer. But when I'm inside of myself, I sometimes get so, uh, yeah, so tired of what's inside. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So when you go inside looking for the answer, you become more aware of,
what's there?
yeah. But you need to go inside to find the answer to be able to find a release.
Yeah,
But when you are inside, then you're pulled away from the focus because of the feeling of it.
yeah.
I wonder if there's something to pick away at there. Okay, this is going to sound like an obvious question, too obvious, but how can you feel down inside and feel peace at the same time? Not get pulled away from it?
It is possible. It is possible to feel peace, but it's
Yeah,
always, it's like you're feeling very calm and restful, but then there's always like something pulling or something clicking or something. So yeah, and there are days, of course, where I'm totally fine with it, because after 10 years you get fine with it. But yeah, within a day it can be that it becomes so um more painful in the body, and so more exhausting, and also to not be able to walk big um
distance.
yeah,
Yeah,
or yeah, yeah, everything is like a really if I have to walk up the stairs, it's, I'm also dealing with the heart, and then it looks like I was climbing a mountain when I come up the stairs. So you always feel like you're at the point of exhaustion, whatever you do.
yeah, yeah. So you can get the peace, but you're always aware of what's going on in the body.
Yeah,
I wonder if there'd be a way of breaking through that. so you could just have the peace.
Mm. Yeah, that's my search, of course.
Yeah. So do the feelings pull you back to the thoughts and when you're to kind of thoughts about being irritated by the feeling?
I think sometimes when I do a rest practice or a meditation, sometimes I'm very capable of just sitting with it, but the other time it gets me restless,
Hmm.
and it looks like there's no way to just go for a walk. Well, that's that's not a very nice thing for me to do right now, because it's
Mhm.
cost me a lot of effort or other things. So it's feeling that trap, like entrapment in your own,
Yeah.
with being able to, yeah, to fly away or to get in that where you want to go into a flight modus, that you think, oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, and then that feeling of wanting to go in the flight, like to get away, is a thought generated
Mm,
feeling.
yeah.
That would be a thought generated feeling rather than okay. So if you could get some insight around that kind of thought generated feeling thing going on there, that might be helpful.
Mm,
But your thoughts always respond to what's going on with your body.
yeah.
But they don't need to. You could, in theory, find a way to let that go. But clearly you can sometimes.
Yeah.
Is the difference between those different, so what happens when you get restless and aren't able to let it go? And you get restless and you can let it go?
Yeah,
So do you get both of those things? Or
yeah.
do you always have to get up?
No. Sometimes I can be restful with it. Um, yeah, and just be with it, uh,
Mm-hmm.
so that I don't need to flight from the sensations in the body. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sometimes a rest practice is really doing me benefit, and I feel calm and peaceful inside, and also the things that are there. And
Yeah.
sometimes I get very frustrated. So it's really like very much, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't want to take all the time up. So yeah, I understand. But thank you for letting me share. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's It's quite a big one, that as well, because you've got so much going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, that restlessness, I think that's probably something that a lot of people deal with rest practices. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's just for you in particular, it would probably be really helpful if you could get to the root of what makes the difference.
Yeah.
And maybe we can catch up another time and just have a chat about it.
Okay.
Just see.
Yeah.
Because it is quite a big one, so
Yeah. I
yeah.
understand. So thank you for offering, Hazel, and yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Alana or Chris, is there anything you'd like to share about, explore a bit? Maybe something that's not quite so um anything around the building work or anything, or the challenges of the moment, Chris? Just I don't want to force anybody either, so um
Does Chris realize he's on mute?
Chris, are you
No, I
speaking
didn't
just
realize I was on mute. Thank you.
all right, okay.
Oh yeah, I was
All
waiting.
right.
Sorry, I said, can it be? It can be any. Can it be any area of life? It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be. Are you looking for specific things or?
No, it can be anything.
Okay. Um. The pain conversation was actually very timely though, and it was beneficial to hear that as well, actually, because I've been battered with a migraine for the last 3 days, so I've been really struggling to sit with that and try and carry on as well.
Yeah.
So, it was helpful to listen to that last 10 minutes as well.
Okay,
So
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. What area would I guess I have one kind of area that I realize that I do quite a lot of work on my own, on myself, and trying to overcome things and improve and always keep progressing. And one thing that I really notice that I struggle with is I'm quite a sort of calm person, well, level-headed and stuff. But one thing that really antagonizes me is when I feel I'm getting chased up for things,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of get it in different areas of my life. So it can be at work if my boss, I get very defensive if I feel, because I interpret it like it can be at home, it can be at work, it can be,
Uh-huh.
and I guess I've got an extra dimension at the moment because we're at home, so I'm also getting my mother doing it, and but it's been useful because I'm also getting feedback as well in terms of my way of responding, because I
Uh-huh.
get very defensive because I feel it's like criticism. So if they ask, "Have you done this? Have you done?" I automatically think it's the suggestion I've forgotten about it and I don't care about it.
Yeah.
So it's like you said that maybe if my reality, or I'm maybe interpreting it differently than it's intended, or I, that's one thing I've really become aware of, that because I feel that I'm somebody who tries my best. I'm very conscientious and I care about things. I take a lot of responsibility. So it feels that if anybody chases me up or about anything, it feels like they're suggesting I'm not all those things that I think I am. So
Yeah.
that's struggle for me. That's the one area that I'm really kind of trying to master at the moment.
So is it just those kind of, is it a specific set of words or a way of speaking or something that
Um,
triggers you?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose if I don't know. I think if it's in terms of way of speaking, I guess I always think it's a critical kind of tone,
Yeah,
and I would say I find it difficult. It seems to be more the females in my life that I struggle with it. And I think it goes back to childhood stuff, perhaps, maybe as well. But it tends to be my wife, mum, and my boss who's female as well.
okay. So
Um,
do you feel you have to have everything done to the point that you don't need any reminders when you say you're very conscientious?
yeah, yeah, not necessarily done, but certainly on like under control and on top of everything and organized. But it's quite hard to be organized at the moment just because we've got quite a lot of things going on um,
But we always do. I mean, you'll
yeah,
have more on at the moment, but we always do, and we all have the potential to miss things.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's helpful then if it gets flagged up. Yes.
yeah. And that's right. And that's what I'm trying to, so that's what I've been trying to reframe when my
Yeah.
boss chases me up for something, for example. I try and see it through her eyes and as well and think, well, if I was in her position, I probably would be doing the same thing. And it doesn't necessarily mean that I don't trust the person that they've
Yeah.
forgotten. I'm just kind of checking in to make sure. But I have to work quite hard to get to that point of being able to think like that and not just automatically get defensive or um
Yeah.
but I come from a long history of being extremely hard on myself and extremely demanding of myself and actually becoming ill because of that on multiple occasions. So there's quite a lot of history to that.
Yeah. So you allowed yourself for quite a history to be really hard on yourself. And probably most of us do, harder than other people. We
Yeah.
allow other people to be. So is there a tie-in then with how you're responding to, is it specifically have you done?
Yeah, largely, probably, yeah. Maybe not specifically, but yeah, probably to a large extent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's almost like I think if it's have you done, it's almost like a suggestion that you've forgotten about it or you don't care about it or something like that. That's how I interpret it.
Yeah. And you might have forgotten about it.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
N no, guess not. And like you say, I don't treat other people the same because if my boss forgets about something, I don't think any less of her. I just accept that's human to do that. But yeah, I think maybe my own expectation of myself is a bit different.
Yeah, you don't allow the humanness in yourself, the sort of that you can
Yeah,
forget things. Why not?
yeah. Um, why not? Not sure. Um, I guess looking for people's approval or to be liked and admired by people, maybe. I don't- particularly in a work context, I would say, because I've had challenges over the years health wise that I feel that I've got to prove myself and turn up and be. I mean, the migraines is a good example.
Yeah.
It got to the point on Friday afternoon I just couldn't work. I couldn't look at my screen or anything, and but I really like beat myself up about that, even though I know that I I didn't choose to feel like that, and I wasn't lying around relaxing. I genuinely was in absolute agony.
Yeah.
And even tomorrow when I go back into work, like today I've not been feeling well either. So um, it's going to be I probably won't be I won't be working at 100% ability,
Do you think
but
everybody works 100% all the time?
no, I guess not. And I've got a colleague who has been going through a tough time, and I keep saying to her, if you've only got 60% to give, then giving 60% is giving 100%. But when it's myself, it's again a different.
You hold yourself to a different standard.
Um, yeah, and yeah,
But surely if you can only give 60%, it's also giving 100% of what you can give.
yeah, there should be. But
Really.
yeah,
There's a book I always think of in conversations like this, and it's a guy called Michael Singer. I don't know if you've come across him.
no,
It's one of two books. I can't remember. Um, can't remember which one it is, but he had a really interesting life. It was back in the 1950s or something. He was studying in Harvard, and he started noticing that he could kind of hear thoughts in his head, like some of us do. Not as in just just he was aware of those thoughts. And it started to bother him, and it's like anything else, when you really start focusing on it, it gets more and more, you get more and more aware of it. So he basically spent his life trying to sort that out, and doing a heck of a lot of other things as well. But he spoke about, if you were to sit on your sofa and your best mate came over and they were sitting next to you and you were having a nice evening, and then they started saying all the things that we all can say to ourselves in our own heads. How long would it take for you to kick him out of the house? It's just we
yeah,
yeah, we just allow ourselves to abuse ourselves an awful lot more than we would let anybody else.
yeah,
But it's just thought.
and I know I mean in a work. It's again if I speak specifically about work, I've got
Mm.
um. I guess my boss is quite a perfectionist as well. She's got high standards as well, so it kind of makes it extra challenging because um yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
she can also be very compassionate and understanding as well. But I have in my head that like tomorrow I have to show up and be able to perform perfectly because that's what she expects me to do. Because I know that if she has health stuff going on or whatever, she still seems to be able to carry on. I mean, people kind of make a joke that she's almost like a machine. She doesn't let anything phase her. She can just turn up and do everything. She's got young kids and she manages to juggle everything. And but we're not all like that.
Yeah,
Um,
we haven't all learned how to use our minds effectively. Um, and very often it can depend on what our life experiences have been, and well, it does depend on what our life experiences have been, and what we've learned from that and how we've taken that forward.
Mhm.
My brother could deal with anything, like really high level job, get a phone call about working his day off, deal with it, put down the phone, forget about it.
Mm.
Um, and from what I've learned over the last 10 years, it certainly has a lot to do with learning the right way to use your mind, how it works, what resources we actually have deep down. Because we have all the resources we think we have all the resources we need. Just thought can block our access to them,
Aha.
and getting stuck. We all tend to get stuck in a particular pattern of thoughts. So they say we have about 67,000 thoughts a day. I guess there's different numbers in different places, but if you were to have asked me 10 years ago how many thoughts I had going on in my head, I probably would have had about 10 that were repeated all day. I wouldn't have been aware of any of the others. It would have just been this cycle of particular pattern of thoughts going on. And with that particular pattern of thoughts, they come with feelings, two sides of the same coin. You get a thought, you get a feeling that accompanies it. Sometimes you just get the feeling, you're not aware of the thought because it's so ingrained in your pattern of how you respond to the world. And that might be kind of what happens when you get a trigger. It's like almost before you can have a thought, you're responding with a
Mm.
feeling and then a reaction. And that's just a really deeply
Yeah.
ingrained habit. And a habit is just a thought, a pattern of thought, a sort of long-term held pattern of thought and feeling. It's not as fixed as we can think it is and experience it as sometimes. Um, do you ever kind of catch, I mean, I've gone back to that again around being asked to do something, because with what you're saying about your boss being able to cope with everything, that seemed to come back to me
Yeah.
as
Yeah. Sorry.
relevant. So we think these things are really fixed, but you're only one thought away from seeing it differently.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder what that thought is. It's interesting that you brought that one up actually, because I can tend to get defensive over the same thing. So I think it's all of these things are really common. Everything we experience, there's there's just particular patterns that we kind of have set there, and particular people clearly respond to particular patterns. Um, So and my thought there was to wonder if there was a different way of saying things, but it's the problem's not in what the other people are saying. The issue is where you're stuck with your response to what they're saying.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you ever, how do you respond when that happens? What happens for you in the moment when somebody asks you that question and you have a response? What does that look like for you?
Mm. I guess I would maybe try and kind of justify, like I would kind of, yeah, I guess it's about getting defensive again, or not. Like I would say, like, oh well, I haven't forgotten about it, but I've been busy working on X, Y, Z instead, and so kind of justifying why I haven't been able to do it, perhaps.
When it comes to work, I wonder what your boss is actually wanting to know when she asks what she's looking for when she asks if you've done it. I mean, clearly, obviously, if
Yeah.
you've done it, but maybe where the progress is. Um,
Yeah, I think genuinely, like, if I think about it rationally, like in a ration mind, she's genuinely just wanting an update for peace of mind for herself to know that yeah, that you are working on it, or so that she can manage the team's workload, probably. Like if I think about it with a step back,
yeah,
um, and as you say, I can almost, I can understand it from her perspective. It's about how it's about myself and how what I expect of myself almost that's the problem, perhaps more.
yeah,
And actually, the thing is, I don't want to be like, um, I don't even want to be perfect, to be honest, even though
yeah,
I seem to strive to be. That's not even what
yeah,
I, because actually, where I am now is like a million miles of where I was a few years ago, and I never thought I would get my life back to how it is now. So, but I don't seem to, in some level, I don't seem to accept that, and
yeah.
um, um, but I think I went to school and stuff where it was very achievement based, and your worth was based on your academic achievements and stuff. So it's probably ingrained in me from some level as well, and through that, that's maybe
The
one
early school
factor.
training, the early school training is very impactful. It's a shame that they didn't teach you to in a different way or teach us in a
Yeah.
different way. Um,
Um,
yeah, and it is like a training rather than an education sometimes.
yeah. But I think it's kind of right. I think it is, that is a good point. I think it is how it's almost like this is not between me and her. It's what I think it's my internal battle that's the problem.
Um, so you respond in a different in a defensive way. Do you think do you always respond in a defensive way, or do you catch it sometimes before?
No, I would catch it sometimes, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because the catching of it's important as well. Because if you can become more like aware, like catch it before you get to the response, it is a process of letting something go as well.
Yeah.
Because that's how we start letting something go. So it sounds like you've started that process with it. Chris, have you frozen? Hello, everyone. Hilda's moving. Chris, are you there?
It looks like only Chris is frozen right now.
Right. See if he comes back in. I thought I'd lost you all for a minute there. Chris, are you there? No, he's away now. A couple of minutes to see if he comes back in and go from there. Oh, goodness. Alana, is there anything you want to explore at all? Don't want to put you on the spot either, but
I was like thinking to myself, like, I always just kind of stay quiet, but I will share a little bit. Mine is actually kind of similar theme with Chris. Like, I've been experiencing migraines for a while now, and I'm only working part-time at the minute. And then so it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then on the Thursday I woke up and I just had this headache and I had all these emotions and like my stomach was really sore and I was just like, I can't go to work like this. Like I'm a barber, so like standing cutting hair, talking to people, like I just didn't have the capacity. And then like all the noises, I was like, no way. And I feel like I'm at this point where like I am catching the thoughts and I am kind of like I'm seeing when I'm like veering off and I'm like kind of gently trying to bring them back on track. It's the feeling. It's the anxiety that comes up and then just sits there despite the logical thought process that's going on. That's like, you know, I'm telling my brain one thing, but my body's just like, and then I can find peace, but the past week it's just it's really taken a lot of energy to like try and bring the two into some sort of agreement.
Yeah, and it's there must be something else going on subconsciously, that some kind of pattern subconsciously that's bringing the anxiety in, that kind of energy that's bringing that in. But it is all the majority of it is patterns of thought and feeling that are inhabiting our system, that have been there for a long time, that just come back, and sometimes we give them more energy than others, more focus. And it's really amazing when you see, on the one thing, how powerful our systems are. Like, that from thought and feeling, we can create a whole experience of the world. And just like total Hollywood standard special effects in our bodies. And you know, that can really help us, or it can't. But it's entirely generated from inside. But we grow up to learn that it's not. It's that thing over there, or it's this thing over there, or we need that thing, and that's why we've got these feelings. But it's only ever in reaction to what's going on outside, but it's actually all happening inside. And it's incredibly powerful.
To think the way that like my mind is going just now, it's like, you know, it's like I've been programming myself for about 30 years. And then, you know, and then I'm like 1 year into like trying to catch the thoughts. And it's like, you know, those 30 years can't be reversed in one. Like, but it's that instant, like,
Yeah.
come on, I've like, what's not happening? Like, why is this coming back? But it's programming it the other way.
It's surprising what you can actually do actually in a short space of time. It can happen sometimes that you can get that massive change. And not only that, you've probably gone through quite a lot of big changes, but as you look back on them, they don't seem quite so big because it all starts to become part of that 30-odd years as you move forward. And quite often we don't realize how much we have changed. Yeah. And I was just what you said there kind of brought me back to what I read at the beginning there. Just one of the greatest misconceptions ever is the belief that it takes years to find wisdom. Many experience time, few experience wisdom. The achievement of mental stability and peace of mind is one thought away from everyone on earth at any time if you hit on that right thought. And it's just there. And it can change everything.
It's definitely powerful stuff. The mind.
Yeah.
The thoughts.
And it's all the stuff we feed into it as well, because we have years. I mean, we've all had a lifetime of just absorbing everything that's outside us, and everything we watch on TV or social media or whatever else. It creates thought and a feeling. We get those special effects. Our poor minds and bodies don't know if it's really happening to us or if it's like someone getting murdered on telly. And we're sort of experiencing all that and building that all up over time. And between dramas on the television, I mean, for me, like dramas on the TV, horror movies, the news, it's any wonder that we're not. It's no wonder that we're not sort of constantly on the edge of anxiety with all that stuff going on. Just all the stuff that we feed in. Must be so stressful for our bodies.
I've definitely noticed, like, for me, a lot of the time, it's that kind of like waking up in the morning and it's, maybe it's like 5 minutes into like actually being awake, and then it's like, like thoughts, past things, mistakes, and it's like, whoa, like, and then trying to just, settle it down and kind of, it's exhausting in a way. Like,
Yeah, but I mean, what's actually going on there is you've had a past experience, and now your mind's just bringing through thought and feeling that experience back into the present. And it's only created through the thought and feeling. It's the same with when you cast forward into the future, you worry about the future. It's thought and feeling happening in the moment in your body. And we just a lot of us have just kind of learnt that that's how we use our minds, that's how things work. And it is ultimately a misunderstanding that's going on here, that we that we're doing that, and we think it's so real. I teach a whole 11-session kids course on this, so I'm just wondering where I can go in like 5 minutes. We don't learn how to use our minds. We don't learn that there's a balance of energy between the more positive feelings and the sort of quiet contentment. that we can find a way to shift ourselves. So what I would explain to the kids is that when you're having those feelings, sort of those more negative feelings, so the anxiety, the anger, the frustration, you know, whatever your particular flavor it is, and we all have different flavors, different mixes. It's simply a signpost to let you know that you're actually off track. And that your thinking has gone off track. And that it's giving you the unpleasant Hollywood special effects. And oh, this is really, really difficult in a short period of time like this. But what we get the kids to do is to use that as a signpost to get them to think about that particular feeling and kind of find a way to kind of question that in the moment that that allows them to let it go. Obviously, that would be what you would want to do, and that will be what you kind of try to do. But yeah, we have a set of inquiry questions for the kids to kind of bounce themselves out of it and back into the on track thinking, which is that peace of mind, gratitude, love, all those kind of feelings, which are the basis for us all. That is what is underneath the thought and the feeling. And it lies there for all of us, and it's there, it's accessible for all of us. And it just takes that one thought to kind of break through to it. And so many of us spend decades where we don't see that stuff. We don't know it's there. But it is. It is, and it's just waiting to shine through.
So you mentioned at the beginning, like trying to get to a space before thought. So how would you get to that?
That's just really through kind of usually with the interaction, just with the questioning. But recognizing that all thought comes from formlessness before it's formed, and there is a space before it forms where we have that sense of peace. And it's as it comes from the formlessness is sometimes when we can start catching it. When we start recognizing it's coming in, like the certain things that kind of happen when we recognize it's coming in. Yours comes in the morning. Is it every morning, or is it easing off a bit?
It does come in waves. Some mornings it's just kind of like automatic get up and go, whereas other mornings it's like, oh wow, like I need to sift through all of this first and bring myself up to a different level. Otherwise I'm just going to be like grumpy all day.
Which probably isn't good when you got a pair of scissors in your hand. Yeah. So there's some mornings when you get it and there's some mornings when you don't get it. And I know it's horrible. I mean, I had that for a long time. Was just, I'd wake up and the anxiety, I'd be like a frightened animal the minute I woke up. Anxiety was just there. And then I get worried about the feeling of anxiety and think about it. Which actually puts more energy into it, so it feels worse. So yeah, I guess the sort of right use of the mind is not to put the energy into it. It's just kind of, I think for me, where I got with it when I was when it was I was sort of really shifting was to recognize that it was there, acknowledge it, and then just let it go, or let my focus go elsewhere. Because it's also not a thing of, if you try and push it down, try and control it, then it just gets worse because your focus goes on it more. But I think that sort of, acknowledge it, but let it go is something that comes up in a lot of other approaches as well. It's that kind of what is ever heard elsewhere is that thing of acknowledging it, thanking it, telling it it's not it's not helpful anymore, but thanks for the thought, and just gonna take your focus elsewhere. Is kind of where I've got to from what you asked there. I'm not sure if that's an answer to what you asked originally, but does that make any sense? Or yeah, because I started doing that again recently. I was waking up with an anxious feeling, and I started kind of going, oh, what's that? And thinking about it, and then getting really anxious, and then I realized I was doing it. And when I realized I was doing it again, it was like, for goodness sake, then I'd feel it, and I'd just not put my focus there. But I'd acknowledge it first, because otherwise it grumbles away in the background. But yeah, with all this stuff, it is possible to have a big insight, but more it's just recognizing and catching things. And as you catch them more and more and more and more. So you go less into the pattern, and then eventually it drops away and occasionally raises its head again, and then you go, yeah.
Thank you.
Right. We've gone a wee bit over, but I'm not fussed about that. Anything else, Alana? Any other questions relating to that? No. But whatever we have going on, we do have everything that we need to deal with it. And to me, it does feel like we live in a society that kind of denies that. It sort of suggests to people that we're kind of broken and that we don't have everything we need, but it's not true. It's not true at all. It's like clouds over the sun. They pass. And the more we learn to let them pass, the easier things get. Okay. Hilda, you find you're right. Yeah. I might just read this thing that's just come to my eye here. Everybody in the universe searches for silence, whether they know it or not, because everybody in the universe is that one same superconscious state, playing the game of life. And in this game of life, We all search for ourselves, for our deeper selves. And it's harder to get the silence now than it has been in the past. So just giving us the time, like over the last month, to do that is really important. Okay. It's been lovely seeing both of you. And Hilda, if you do want to catch up for a chat, just we can sort of delve a bit deeper. If you want, just let me know.
I'd love
Okay.
to. So thank you. Yeah. Thank you also for this beautiful session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Right. I'll end the recording if I can remember how. Oh.